Welcome to Sabbath School Daily, where we have been studying from this lesson, Psalms. This week we're studying from lesson number 11, which has the title, Longing for the Lord in Zion, and today is Thursday's lesson, which has the title, Immovable like Mount Zion. Today's lesson revolves around Psalm 125. It's a short psalm. We are going to read all of it, but I'd like to read the first paragraph of today's lesson before we get to the actual psalm. Look at what it says. Those who trust in the Lord are compared to Mount Zion, the symbol of steadfastness and strength. The magnificent view of the mountains surrounding the city of Jerusalem inspired the psalmist to acknowledge the certainty of divine protection. Unlike the mountains ruled by the wicked, which are being tossed into the seas, the impressive durability of the mountain upon which Jerusalem was built inspires profound trust. The confidence in God's protection becomes even bolder in the face of the painful reality in which evil seems to prevail so often. Yet, even amid that evil, God's people can have hope. As I said a few days ago, Danny and I had the privilege of going to Jerusalem in 2019. And sure enough, from certain places in the city, from certain vantage points, you can look off into the distance and see other mountain ranges, and you can see the valley between them. It's a beautiful view. And so I can imagine the psalmist looking off into the distance and receiving from God this beautiful song of ascents. That's what the psalm is called, a psalm of ascents. And so let's read the first two verses. It says, "Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved, but abides forever. As the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people from this time forth and forever." So the people here are compared to being as immovable, as strong as Mount Zion. Not because of themselves, but because the God of heaven, the God of Israel, he makes them so. He provides that strength. He provides that certainty of life. The chapter then goes on to say the following from verse 3 all the way to the end to verse 5. It says, "For the scepter of wickedness shall not rest on the land allotted to the righteous, lest the righteous reach out their hands to iniquity. Do good, O Lord, to those who are good, and to those who are upright in their hearts. As for such as turn aside to their crooked ways, the Lord shall lead them away with the workers of iniquity. Peace be upon Israel." So this is a prayer for the peace of Israel, for God to deal rightly with those who do right, and for the Lord to lead away those who have crooked paths. The lesson then goes on to say the following: God's children can be discouraged by the success of the wicked, and perhaps tempted to follow their ways. The utmost stability of Mount Zion cannot secure those who depart from the Lord. The people are still given freedom to put forth their hands into iniquity and turn aside unto their crooked ways. The Lord is just and will judge the individuals who remain in rebellion along with other unrepentant sinners. Here is the call for God's people to remain immovable in faith and trust in the Lord, just as Mount Zion is their immovable refuge. That is, even when we don't understand things, we can still trust in the goodness of God. I heard a saying a few years ago by a very prominent preacher in Brazil, where he said that having God in our life is not like building a house in a land without storms. What it is like is building a house that no storm will be able to knock down. And so what we find here is this very reality. There are evildoers. There are people who walk through crooked paths and that seem to have good outcomes. But God is just and fair. And while justice might not happen in our terms or in our time, we know that the God of heaven will exact accountability. And so we can go through life, even through the storms, knowing that while we will be having perplexities, while the strong winds will be blowing against us, the rain will be falling hard down, perhaps we'll have hail, perhaps we'll have fires, but no storm, no disaster will knock down the house in which the Lord lives. That is his promise and his guarantee. And so rely on him, lean on him, and you will be like that strong house. The lesson then concludes by quoting from the book Steps to Christ, page 106 and 107. And this is what it says: "The entrance of sin into the world, the incarnation of Christ, regeneration, the resurrection, and many other subjects presented in the Bible are mysteries too deep for the human mind to explain or even fully comprehend. But we have no reason to doubt God's word because we cannot understand the mysteries of his providence. Everywhere are wonders beyond our ken. Should we then be surprised to find that in the spiritual world also there are mysteries that we cannot fathom? The difficulty lies solely in the weakness and narrowness of the human mind. God has given us in scriptures sufficient evidence of their divine character, and we are not to doubt his word because we cannot understand all the mysteries of his providence. And so that's the lesson to take away. Just because we don't understand what God is doing doesn't mean that we should not rely upon him. Remember, we're not always called to understand. We are called to believe, to have faith, and to walk on the path that the Lord has established for us, knowing that he does fulfill his promises. And so if you are going through moments of crisis right now, if you are going through portions of life where it seems that everyone else is having a good time and it's going well for them and they're successful, even though they are not walking on the precepts of the Lord, remember, success is not measured by this world, by this time. It's not measured by what we can see. True success in the Christian journey, true success in this life is if we attain heaven. That is success. If we help others reach there, get there, to know Jesus, that is true success. By worldly perspectives, you wouldn't really say that most of the biblical characters were successful, that they had good outcomes in their life. Paul, Peter, James, all of these apostles that served the Lord, but again, by human standards, they died the deaths of martyrs, but they were truly successful. Why? Because they walked with the Lord, because they knew him, and because they await the second coming of Jesus. That is true success. So broaden your perspective. There's a saying that says, when in doubt, zoom out. Look out. Let your perspective broaden when it comes to understanding spiritual things. Because if you zoom too in, then you will become confounded and you will have doubts because you don't understand what's going on. So always, when in doubt, zoom out. Allow the Lord to fill your perspective with new understanding, and that will be a blessing to you. Remember to study your lesson, look up the Bible verses, read this text over and over. It's a short psalm, memorize it. Memorizing the Bible is always a good thing to do. Also, please remember to comment down below. I love hearing from you, and please remember to like, to share, and to subscribe to our videos. We release one every day, and I hope to see you again here tomorrow for another Sabbath School Daily.